Hello and welcome to Mobile Storytelling, creating engaging video on an iPhone. This live stream mini is the second in our series of free virtual online trainings for career professionals interested in new tools and technologies in media. Brought to you by KDMC Berkeley, the world's premier center for new media workshops and custom training programs. Career professionals from around the world choose KDMC Berkeley's programs to gain valuable insight and skills in digital media content production, multimedia storytelling, podcasting, social media, data visualization, and digital publishing. In today's training, Mobile Storytelling, creating engaging video on an iPhone, you'll learn best practices, valuable tips, and techniques for shooting and editing quality video on an iPhone. I am Chris Schott, your host and producer, and we're excited to have with us the BBC's North America technology correspondent, Richard Taylor. Richard has been with the BBC for almost 20 years and is the creator of their global technology brand, Click, broadcast in the UK and on TV in English and other language services. He is the leading KDMC Berkeley innovation and video instructor for workshops and custom trainings for clients around the world. Thanks, Richard, for sharing with us your insights and experience for creating quality video on the mobile phone.
Hello folks, thanks for joining. Well, as you probably know, while I was running a technology show in London for the BBC, I was a big evangelist for shooting on smartphones. And there were various ways in which I did that over the past few years that I was there. And since I've been here in the Bay Area, I have continued that fine and honourable tradition and really pushed it to far more limits. As you can see on the opening slide here, I have even resorted to potted plants to be able to use a plant as a makeshift tripod. Honestly, budget cuts in newsrooms are hitting hard. No, I'm only kidding. But the BBC has been a big evangelist and they've been very encouraging, as have many newsrooms around the world, about the idea of shooting on an iPhone. And over here, I have been using the iPhone to good effect to be able to shoot everything from full TV features to doing lives for TV. And I'm going to show you a few examples now of the kind of thing that I've been getting up to. The first thing I'm going to show you here is when I was on the East Coast of America, and Satya Nadella had just been appointed chief executive of Microsoft, and they asked me to do a live two-way. Now, I didn't have the right kit on me, but I did have my iPhone and some apps and a couple of accessories and a light, and it looked great. And this is how it came out. This is on live TV going out around the world on the BBC.
Well, joining me now via webcam from New York is our US technology correspondent, Richard Taylor. Hi there, Richard. The new man at the helm, what do we know about him?
Well, he's had a very successful 22 years at Microsoft. He grew up in India and very technical.
Now you can see there, great quality, full HD. The cheeky presenter said it was a webcam. It was far more than a webcam. It was a proper high-definition 1080p smartphone camera on my iPhone there. And it looks honestly very, very similar to how a full high-definition broadcast camera costing many thousands of dollars would have looked. It would have been very difficult for the audience to tell the difference. The only giveaway there, as you can see, possibly is just a little headphone sticking out of my ear there. The next example is when I was at the Google Developer Conference. I didn't have any camera with me, but the power of having the camera in your pocket meant that there was such a great story that I just needed to film. And in the last 20 minutes of the conference, as it was closing up, along with my intern, we literally just bashed out a piece to camera, a variety of shots which we could get very, very quickly, as well as some interviews with various people, and did an entire TV and online feature. And again, it looks very high definition here. And have a look here at the variety of shots that I was able to get.
Google's developer conference, there were smartwatches, there was Android on the big screen TV in your living room, and the real star of the show, a piece of cardboard. Google Cardboard. At first, some delegates here thought it was a joke, but this lowest of low-tech contraptions unravels to reveal startling high-tech credentials, magically transforming into a pair of 3D virtual reality specs when you slip a smartphone into the front. Using orientation sensors in your handset, the scene changes when you move it around. The two side-by-side pictures combine into a singular 3D image when you look through the lenses in the cardboard itself. The effect is quite mesmerising and truly immersive when you
So you get a sense there of how it looked, and I also did some interviews with people further down in the clip, as you can see here. I did have a microphone.
I would use it just for fun, not maybe for heavy usage. You feel a bit like uncomfortable after a few minutes, but no, it's pretty cool. I mean, they have some very good use cases here.
Fascinating story, by the way, the Google Cardboard. And moving on, the other thing I did was to try and really prove that the iPhone and smartphones really were a great tool for news gathering. Instead of taking my big camera to interview James Cameron, I thought I'm just going to take my iPhone and a microphone and an adapter and a tripod, a mini tripod. And I knew that he would probably appreciate it, and he really did. And this is what he had to say about the power of smartphone shooting.
Well, it's also more innocuous, so maybe there's a comfort zone, and for, covering fast-breaking stuff, you know what I mean? You're kind of just there, you're witnessing.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure. A lot of reasons to do it. A few times you might want to choose to have a bulky camera that's mostly a prop.
Yes. Exactly. Sometimes now big cameras being used merely as a prop. And as you'll see here, the setup here was very simple, and again it was great for me to be able to get around. Here is the tripod, and the camera is just on there, and there's a microphone obviously attached to the film director there, and it was just so easy for me to be able to get to that interview on public transport, no bulky kit to carry around. So that's how I'm using it and how newsrooms are using it increasingly around the world. But how would you use it potentially? Well, Facebook and other social media networks are, of course, a huge repository these days for mobile video. Facebook actually literally just announced that 3 billion figure of how many views there are of mobile video or video on their website is now 4 billion views, and that's every single day. Yes, take your jaws up off the floor, because that is the real number of videos that are being watched. 4 billion every day just on Facebook. And of course, there are many other social networks as well. Instagram isn't just for photos. You can apply some lovely filters on video on Instagram. And of course, the other big social network is Twitter, where video is now able to be embedded directly into your timeline. And the next big trend that we may well see, and it's seeming to blow up at the moment, is live broadcasting, and having the knowledge to understand exactly how to use your phone to be able to do some decent live broadcasting will definitely mean that you will stay ahead of the pack, because honestly at the moment most of the stuff on Periscope and on Meerkat, the other rival app there, is not very good. So if you're growing your personal brand, or if you are doing demos of anything, if you're at a conference, if you are looking for some kind of endorsements from clients or customers, you really should be able to understand how to use the smartphone well. Okay, so I've already touched on a couple of advantages of using your iPhone. So what are some other advantages? Well, let's just have a look here and encapsulate them all if we can. So hopefully you've got some sense of the power and importance of mobile video these days. But why, you may ask, would you not simply use a DSLR or a GoPro or any other kind of bigger or better camera than the one on your phone? Well, if we have a look at the key advantages here, the most important in my view is that this is the camera that is with you, and that is, as we say in the photography world, that the best camera is the one you have with you. It's all in one. Not only can you capture your material, you can edit on the phone, as we'll see later, and you can upload the material, all from one single device. That makes it incredibly powerful. We're at a real inflection point here of technology. The other powerful advantage of using an iPhone is that the apps on it and accessories are very affordable, and there's a massive ecosystem. Now, this applies much more really to the iPhone than it does to Android devices. Of course, Android smartphones are incredibly capable at the high end, possibly more so than the iPhone. But what we don't have with the Android ecosystem is the uniformity of hardware and of software for it. And there's lots of people who will be shooting on different variants of Android. But on the iPhone in particular, that is a very powerful selling point. A smartphone, of course, is compact. I talked briefly about how I used it in the cardboard piece to get around the conference very quickly. It was very easy to do, and also versatile mounting. You can get angles with the phone that you simply can't get with other devices. I took some shots of my kids on one TV piece that I did on how kids are using technology, and literally just held it over their head and got the top-down shot of them looking at their device, which would have been a lot harder to get with a much bigger camera. It is simple. In particular, the iOS software on the Apple devices is very easy to get around, and it makes it very easy to learn new apps. And as James Cameron was saying before, it's a lot less intimidating, which basically means that interviewees will feel a lot more relaxed. Not only can you get to places and do discreet filming where people simply aren't aware that you're filming, which may be useful, but also for interviewees, the idea that they can have a chat with you and not feel that they are really being subject to the full power of a huge setup. It is very intimidating often when people are being interviewed and they see that red light come on. Having said all that, there are issues with shooting on a phone, of course. The first one is that the fact that it's an all-in-one device means that you have, well, a limited battery and limited storage and memory on the device, and it is prone to crashing sometimes, especially if you use apps that aren't up to the task. Some of the apps I've used for filming can be very buggy, and that's not what you want when you are shooting an interview. The other big issue with phones at the moment is that they tend to have a fixed lens. Unlike a traditional camera, there's no zoom lens. So it does restrict your framing, and there's also wide-angle distortion, a bit like you saw before on my webcam. Honestly, my nose isn't quite as big as that in real life. Ergonomically, few physical controls. That does make it sensitive to handling, and you've again got to know how to handle your device properly if you're not going to get wobble cam, because again it will just give you away as an amateur very, very quickly. It's inflexible, especially the iOS devices. Actually, it can be very difficult to access the files on the device and also to expand the storage. The sensor size is also an issue. It's a very small sensor on camera phones, as you might expect, and images, especially in low light, really can suffer. And honestly, the more light you can give them, they need light, like I need my coffee fix in the morning. Audio, again, a big issue. Interviewees need to be close to the camera if you are using the phone without any accessories whatsoever. That's something to really be mindful of. And I will show you the difficulty in shooting good, clean audio off the phone right now. So there's a little clip that I've recorded here.
The problem with the iPhone's built-in mic is that it's not very sensitive. So you have to get really near until it can pick up anything meaningful at all. But all is not lost, because the iPhone headphones come with a built-in microphone on the actual earbuds themselves. So if you had to, you could even use these. But by far the best solution, get yourself a decent mic with a long extension cable, and then you're able to roam free.
Now, that point there, that the idea you can just have an accessory is important, but you have to know which accessory to get. The point is really with all these potential issues is that they are surmountable, and in my two-day seminar and the training, I will show you in detail really how each one of these issues can be solved, and sometimes very simply. Here is a chart that I put together of the various iPhones and the differences between them. The point here really being that anything above a 4S is going to be very capable of shooting very high quality video. The 4S really was the landmark shift, I think, for Apple when they introduced very, very high quality video. If you have a 5S, you'll be able to shoot slow-mo, and a 6 even slower slow-mo, which can look very effective and very moody. If you're doing creative filmmaking, that's certainly worth considering. But I would say really that actually even if you have a lower end phone, you may feel that the software is straining and buckling under the new operating system, so it may be worth upgrading for that reason alone. But you don't need to worry about getting the biggest, fanciest handset for very good results on the phone. Now, when you're actually going out and shooting, you have to figure out what story it is you're going to be shooting and how you are going to shoot it. Planning is everything, although of course you can shoot very good quality video on your iPhone with no accessories at all. I am going to show you though a few bits of kit which will really help that filming experience go more smoothly. The first is a mounting accessory, something to actually plant your phone into so that it can fit on a tripod, because stability is one of the key principles of getting good shots. If you can get a good stable shot, it will look decent, and you can see here a couple of examples of that. Once you've got the accessory, you need the actual tripod itself, and of course tripods come in many shapes and sizes, but this one here, the Manfrotto, does extend all the way up to eye level, and it's very, very light. But there's also really small mini tripods as well. And in fact, if I show you on the webcam here, I'll show you a couple that I have in front of me. So here I have my phone, and it is connected via a very good mounting accessory here to a tripod, and this tripod actually has articulated legs, so you can twist them around and you can attach them and clip them to things, a bit like the one in the presentation. So a couple of good accessories there. And moving on, lens adapters are also pretty useful. Here's one that I show off in the actual presentation. It's called the Olo Clip. It's a very good lens, probably the market leader, definitely the market leader actually in lenses, and you literally clip them on, and again you have to understand exactly what the lenses are doing and how to clip them on properly and making sure they're clean to get decent angles, and I'll show you again in a minute how you can get decent framing with the actual lens adapters. Lighting is crucial. I have nice soft light on me at the moment because I have a huge window which is shining the light onto me. It's nice soft flat light, but often you won't have that. You'll have harsh lighting, and again in a moment I will show you some more ways that you can actually get around it with various light accessories. This one's really fun actually. This is a tiny little LED light, and it's incredibly bright. I mean, it will, as you can see here, just fill me in. I'm just going to, it's got different levels of brightness, and you can see even when there's natural daylight on me already, it's doing something to actually light me, and you literally just plug it straight into the phone. And this one is an all-in-one light. It's called the Kick, which is really fun because you can have different color temperatures if you wanted. I'm just going to turn it on here. It actually connects via Wi-Fi to an app, if you can believe it, on the phone, and it puts out an incredible amount of light for something so small. You literally just slip the phone. It has to be an iPhone 5 or 4. They don't make it for the 6, but it really is very, very powerful, and it has a tripod mount on it as well. So it's an all-in-one tripod mount and light, and you can change what color it is as well, so you can warm up your interviewees. Just turn this off. The other way you can do it, of course, is using some kind of reflector, and again in the two-day workshop I'll be showing off various ways you can even use a makeshift reflector. You don't need a proper piece of kit. There are lots of ways you can actually really control the light coming onto your subject and use the available light to your advantage. Battery and storage extenders are another way to overcome one of the problems that I was talking about earlier. Again, there are quite a few on the market, only really one or two that are any good. This one here, again, you probably recognize it's the Mophie Juice Pack, but actually it's the latest version of that, which has embedded storage as well as an embedded battery in the case, and it does protect your phone as well. So a very useful way of making sure that you're not going to deplete your battery very, very quickly. In terms of microphones, again, you need to make sure that you're getting the right kind of microphone for the job. And there are tons of microphones out there. Very few of them work very well with the iPhone. There's really only a few out there that I would seriously recommend. In terms of a general microphone, the go-to one for me most of the time is what's known as the lavalier mic. And it was the one I was showing off earlier in the clip. And lav is great for getting reasonable overall sound out of your interviewee in a reasonably controlled environment. But if you're in a very noisy environment, then this next mic is going to be far better for you. You hold it a lot closer to the interviewee's mouth, and you can get much cleaner sound. And I was at a conference, huge technology show, trade show. It was very, very noisy. And I was able, within a few minutes, to get a clip out of a lady here showing off an iPhone taser with this kind of reporter mic. And I'll just show you how it sounds. And it was a very, very noisy environment. Have a listen.
Smartphone cases galore at CES, most of them intended to protect your handset, but this one here actually protects you. Explain, please, Alexandra from Yellow Jacket.
Hi, this is a Yellow Jacket. We're the world's first and only smartphone stun gun case. What makes this case different from the rest is it has 3 components. First, it is protecting for your phone. It's a case for your phone.
So you can hear there just how clear that is. And I was able to get that, send it back to London, and it was the most popular clip I did from the trade show. I got, I think, 500,000 hits on it. It was really an extraordinary piece of video capture. And to me, that was another light bulb moment again, going, wow, the power of this stuff is really incredible. And I was lucky that I had the right microphone on me, but I had thought about it and planned ahead and thought, what microphone will I need? The other one that you can get is called the shotgun mic. Again, if you need some kind of good ambient sound, you don't want a reporter mic, and you wouldn't want a lavalier attached with a long cable to somebody. Ideally, you'd want something like a shotgun. And again, in the workshop, I will go through various options for you. It's pretty hard to find a decent shotgun mic actually for the iPhone. So once you've got your kit in hand and you're ready to go, it is time to unleash your creativity. And here I'm going to just show you a few hints and tips of how to actually use the device itself. So we'll hopefully be able to get up my phone, which is attached to my computer here, and you'll be able to see the entire interface. So let's see if we can get this up. And here it is. Okay, so you can see here my muse for today, and her name is Lola. She is my showgirl, and she is going to play the part of an interviewee. And I'm on the native camera app here. Now, what's really important to do before you do any filming is actually to go into settings and put your plane in airplane mode. You can see that little icon there on the left. Because you don't want to be interrupted. If you're interrupted and a call comes in, then what you'll find is that the recording is actually interrupted. So once you've done that, again, you want to go into some more settings and turn off notifications. Again, I'll talk you through lots of different ways of optimizing your phone's battery while you're about to shoot. Once you've done all the basic prep, in the camera app, you will go to video. And here we are again with Lola. And you can see that she's quite backlit. You can see the bay behind me there. Now, what happens when you're filming with an iPhone is that the iPhone gets a general reading of the light coming into the image and tries to figure out where to expose for. Now, you can give it a helping hand in this regard. If you tap on the screen, it thinks, for example, that if I tap there, I want to expose and focus on the background. If I tap on Lola's face, it thinks that I'm trying to expose and gives me a reasonable reading for her. But of course, it's a very high contrast scene, so it's very burnt out behind her, and you can't really see anything. And that's a problem actually with the framing of the shot that we have here. So I could help myself in numerous ways by, for example, moving round. And you'll see as I move round her, in fact face her away, that the lighting changes dramatically. And suddenly, Lola looks far, far better lit. Now, again, you can see the focus and the exposure is hunting around a bit on the phone. So the way to overcome that is to tap and hold on the bit of the image that you want to expose and focus on in the camera app. And if I do that, you'll see that once I've tapped and held it, it actually locks the focus and exposure on her. And again, if I actually move myself physically back here, I'm just crouching down, I'm going to tap and hold again, and there she's refocused, and I can actually even drag my finger up and down if I feel like the brightness level needs adjusting. And again, here you need to be careful because the actual brightness of your screen will affect what you think is the brightness of the recorded image. and there are ways to make sure that you're getting decent, proper exposure and focusing without simply just trying to judge it like this. But you get some idea of how it looks. Now, ideally, with Lola, we want some foreground interest here, so I'm going to just move this along. So if I was interviewing her, I might have something, let's say she likes nature, and so she's into this kind of wooden thing, or if you just want a nice decorative prop. There we've got different, so we've got a bit of foreground interest now in the shot, and we've got her looking according to the rule of thirds, as we call it. If you imagine drawing lines across the screen, 2 lines down and 2 lines across, you want your subject ideally at the intersection of those lines. You don't want her framed in the middle of the screen there. It's a common mistake that people make. You want her off to one side. It's much more pleasing. There's a little bit of depth behind her as well, and I have some foreground interest. So the shot itself is looking good. She's got a little bit of looking room, which is great. Ideally, you want your guests not looking straight down the barrel. You want them looking slightly off to one side, not too profile-y, because that can be fairly horrible. Now, the native camera app is okay, but there are lots and lots of limitations in it. I haven't got time to go through them all, but suffice to say that there are far better apps that allow you to control, for example, what we call the white balance, which is how yellow or blue your subjects might look. You can't monitor the audio on the native camera app, which is essential if you're going to get decent quality video. So there are lots of different features that other apps have, and again on the 2-day workshop I'll go through some of those advanced features. Now, the whole point really about video is to tell compelling stories, and even though you may have shot something very well, you need to make sure that you're going to tell that story effectively as well. And that's where the editing side, the actual trimming and compiling side comes into play. And of course that's very powerful as well. There's lots of apps, again, for the iPhone. There's only a few go-to apps for me, really. One of them is iMovie, and I'm just going to show you what it looks like here. If I touch into my project, because every piece of video here is turned into a project, and you'll see it has what's called a timeline, and each shot there is represented by the icon. I can literally just drag and trim the shots out and make them shorter or longer. It's a pretty simple concept. It's very easy to add multiple voice tracks, music tracks. You can add what we call cutaway shots and really make your video very, very powerful. After you have edited your masterpiece, and again, I'll go through a lot of the storytelling techniques and principles in the workshop, you can even grade your footage very well. You can give it a real look, a very, very professional look on the phone itself. And I will show you now what this looks like. And just pay attention really to the kind of pacing and the transitions that I've used. You'll see here I've used a dissolve transition here. Your shots and your transitions need to be what we call motivated. There needs to be a good reason why you're choosing particular transitions. Cuts tend to be, just a straight cut tends to be the transition of choice. If you go to the movies, you'll see that most shots literally just cut from one to another. There's no flashy wedding-like flourishes on it. So I've kept away from this. I've kept away from the flourishes on this kind of project, except where you'll see it kind of makes sense with the music. So this is something really that I've put together to show the power of what you can do on a phone. And by the way, with this movie, this short 1 minute 20 montage, I didn't use any accessories, no lens adapters, no external microphones, no tripods, nothing. It was really to see what I could do with the raw power of the phone itself, shooting, editing, and finishing my entire film on the phone itself. And this is how it looks so far. Still very much a work in progress. noticed in the film that there's lots of slow-mo. I was looking to try and create a mood, and I graded some of the shots with lots of contrast and used some filters on some of them. There's lots more I could have done as well in terms of stabilizing shots, and it's really just a question of how far you want to go with something. You'll find lots of great examples online, YouTube and Vimeo, of iPhoneography, and some fantastic films that have been made out of iPhone video, and it even featured an Oscar-winning documentary called Searching for Sugarman, where the guy ran out of money and decided to shoot an entire sequence on the iPhone, and it looked great. Now, on the workshop side of things, I won't be able to turn you into Fellini overnight, but I will be able to give you lots of practical hints and tips on how to shoot good video, not just in general terms with any camera, and how to use light to your advantage, the importance of sound, but also really overcoming the inherent limitations of the smartphone itself. So thanks for joining this, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.
Thank you for joining us today. Please tell your colleagues about these free interactive live streaming trainings. More are being planned, so check back on our website frequently. If you're interested in advancing your skills in video, join us for a more advanced training in the art of creating quality video with the iPhone at our upcoming workshop, Mobile Media, Producing Visual Stories with the iPhone. This is a 2-day certificate workshop providing all skills necessary for shooting quality video on your iPhone. You'll learn how to capture key moments from events, product launches, conferences, and interviews, as well as what and how to publish on social networks and websites. You'll work hands-on with Richard Taylor to learn the art of shooting and editing video to create visual stories that people will actually want to watch. More info can be found on our website at multimedia.journalism.berkeley.edu.